is here. In the bottom left, into the blue, he's playing for Vitality now. Odds on, if not the best player, one of the top 2 Terran players in this tournament, he's Maru.
And his opponent spawning up at the top right, the final boss, and the final boss of this Group D. It is Dark or Talon. I wanted to make like a screeching hawk sound, but I just do not think I can do that without making everyone's ears bleed. And I prefer to only make about 10% of people's ears bleed.
Oh, that seems low, Steadfast. I think those are rookie numbers. You got to pump those numbers up, Steadfast. At least 15%. Come on.
Gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. Maru is not going to be going for a proxy 2 racks here. Not going to be going for a 2 racks on the low ground. He's just going to go... Well, he could still go for an SCV scout, but it is just going to be a 1 racks expand, so a very standard opener. Dark, for his part, is going to be going gasless hatch pool hatch, which is a very neat little iteration to his setup. And he does something very cool with this. He knows that you're fully saturated on 16 minerals and you can't really take advantage of that 17th drone. So he does something very cool that only really Dark does, and that is check the watchtower, look around for proxies, and before he goes for that 3rd hatch, just because the timings work out. I really like the way he does this. He's done this for a while with this gasless hatch pool hatch, but it is just a really good indicator of how well he understands StarCraft II at a truly fundamental level.
It's crazy. You look at Dark, because Dark is this player that simultaneously has some really cool builds, right? Going hatch pool hatches. He's kind of the only player that does this. To the best of my knowledge, I'm racking my brain, but really he is the only player at the professional level that really does this. And so he's got these really cool different builds, but on the flip side, he also plays by feels so much. He's the best. There's a reason he's the best player on low eco situations. It's just he can feel the game and he can understand what's happening better than almost just about anyone else. Now, Maru will scout this. He's going to see that, yeah, okay, that's a very quick 3rd hatch. Generally, by the time the Reaper arrives, you know, it's like, well, the hatch is thinking about going down, but Dark has that just about done, actually. So that's going to mean more queens. It's going to mean that speed is very slow. In fact, it means that probably we're not even going to get speed in this game. It means it's more than likely a roach opener, which very nice there. Find a little bit of a position where the Lings cannot fight, but the Reaper's dead. So, you know, you take some, you win some, you lose them there. Maru's response, though, to everything that he's seen. 3rd command center on the way very quickly.
And it is going to be that double cyclone, that extremely safe setup. Even if you skip the starport, it can still be really strong. We are going to see the barracks being lifted here. That is going to be an attempt to kill an overlord that isn't there. This is something that Dark does, and I like it very much. He does not have consistent overlord positioning. He keeps his opponents guessing. And that is kind of the thesis of how Dark plays StarCraft II at a fundamental level. He is one of the most unpredictable players in all of existence, really, from the beginning to end of StarCraft II's lifespan, even all the way back to Wings of Liberty. Trying to predict Dark it's just not an easy feat. But Maru going to be going for an insanely greedy setup off of this. And this is the way that Cure actually played right out the get-go versus Serral on this map when the Cyclone patch dropped. Very nice micro with the Cyclones, by the way, getting a lot of damage onto that one queen. Oh my god, he almost kills the other. There's no transfuse available, and there's no Ling speed. Just 2 Cyclones and 2 Hellions are putting some real hurt on these queens. He's going to get 3 queens very quickly. He's going to get a 4th queen. Cyclones, Attack of the Clones. It wasn't TBT, it's TVZ.
He's gonna get the 6th.
Oh my
what the
god.
And he keeps him alive. I talked he's not.
Hey, there's the queen.
Finally.
With a sniper rifle from across midfield.
That is 6 queens. That is 900 minerals. Dark right now, he's got 1 queen on the map. He doesn't have any creep spread anymore. He cannot spread it outside of the tumors that he has. He cannot inject. He doesn't have that one. And by the way, on top of everything, he's building 5 overlords. He's so heavily supply blocked. I'm not saying Maru just won the game, Steadfast, because clearly there's more to play, but he has built such a massive advantage into this game number one that it is going to be a difficult thing for Dark to deal with. He was forced to build a lot of links to handle this, and these links are useless. I mean, they're going to maybe get some damage on the Hellions because they're forced into a corner, but these are speedless links, and if they ever have speed, that's going to be like a hive speed timing. It's just kind of wasted larva, wasted money at this point that Dark would rather have not had to spend.
Yeah, this is a disastrous situation for Dark in this game one. Do not let the supplies fool you. That is roaches. We're looking at the worker count. We're looking at the timing of the upgrades, the timing of the armory. The fact that Maru got away with one of the greediest builds you can pull off, period. And Dark, while he is the king of comebacks from impossible situations, and I like very much that he goes for a gold base behind this, because that is the kind of thing that can bring you back into a game like this. He is going to have to either A, find a miraculous engagement, or B, win this game in a very long-term setup. In fact, Maru's 1-1 is done. Dark just finished up his double Evo and has yet to start his own 1-1, and Maru can go straight into the 2-2. Actually, no, he can't at the moment. He doesn't have the gas, but as soon as he gets a little bit more gas mining, he can start that 2-2 up.
Yeah, and this is horrifying, right? 1-1 Roach is pretty solid. Generally, you get the 1-1 Roach upgrades a little bit slower than the bio, but you hit with them. Dark has so much time where he's not going to have those upgrades, and Maru will, where he doesn't have an aggressive option. So taking the gold base is really nice, as you said. But I think the second thing we need to see here, we need to see that infestation bit. Like, just, you get enough roaches to stay alive. That's very important. But you get up to hive as quickly as possible. You get those fungals as quickly as possible. You just batten down the hatches here and hope that Maru doesn't kill you, because that's kind of the state of the game right now. Yeah, again, Dark's up. Sure, he's up 30 supply. But as you said, Steadfast, those are roaches. It's not nearly as relevant. So Maru, he can be as aggressive as he would like to be. And I do want to point this out, by the way. Dark, he's actually not fully saturated on the third base. He took the gold base and immediately saturated the fourth base in advance of the third, because, again, that's what's really important. These roaches, again, they can't really fight very well. They don't have their upgrades. And behind this, speed's on the way. So Dark is getting himself into that late game. Roaches are just this mid, or not this late game, but getting prepped for the transition. Roaches are a mid-game tech, absolutely. But they're not all that incredible later on, and with the situation that Dark's in, rushing into lurkers is probably not the move. So link speed on the way. We should see a Baneling Nest eventually as an Overlord goes down on top of the Queen. Maru doesn't lose, barely loses anything, and he's just having his way with Dark on the map.
Dark's going for an all-in.
Yeah,
Dark's going for a huge Roach Ravager Ling all-in. He's adding Ling speed in order to reinforce this more powerfully. He's going to have the gold base to provide a lot of money, but he is absolutely committing to this attack. 1-1 is going to complete. 2-2 not yet done for Maru. He does have the combat shields done. There are very well-placed tanks, but this is going to be a massive hammer blow coming in from Dark. We have the Ravagers trying to get in on top of these tanks. Corrosive Bile is a little bit late. There is a very broad sweeping attack, but the SimCity going to help out Maru a ton. However, a lot of SCVs already going down. There is a lot of supply on the other side of the map, so it will be a counterattack from Maru. But can he hold? The siege tanks are starting to fall. One of them on the bottom side going down. Another one going down as well here. Dark actually has a huge attack and really experiencing a lot of success. 35 SCVs go down. And with how many SCVs Maru had gone up to, we went up to like 80. He is actually still very much competitive in this game, but the greed of Maru might end up being his undoing here. Dark will defend against this drop on the other side of the map. Maru, though, the insane greed almost lost him a one-game versus Raynor yesterday, and 2 days ago, and it's very nearly costing him here in this game number one versus Dark in a similarly advantageous situation. Now, he is going to get forced back from this base. 2-2 starts up for Dark, but that attack was a dream scenario for Dark, and I don't even think he lost. Yeah, he didn't lose like even a single drone on the other side of the map. He's only lost one in this game.
Dude, this
and
is
that was
fine.
at the very beginning.
This is fine for Maru right now because, yeah, he didn't lose a drone. He lost the gold. All right, Maru, his economy is still fine. He's got this big upgrade lead. The supplies, yeah, they're in favor of Dark, kind of. But again, these are roaches. The 30 supply difference as the tanks continue to get made two at a time, +3 attack on the way. This is fine for Maru. Yeah, it was a little scary. Yes, a lot of SCVs have gone down, but Maru able to go, and I think he might have gotten a couple queens as well, but Maru denying that gold base, which is what powered this entire attack, meant that Dark didn't really have the reinforcing lines. Didn't really have the power that he needed to hit the second part of that hammer blow that made it really important. And now we're going to see the fourth base on the bottom side. The planetary is getting started here. Dark is backing out of this a little bit as he gets the infestation pit, tries to move on later. But this is a 4-base Terran against a 3-base Zerg. Dark needed more, or at the very least, he needed to not lose that gold base. So in the balance of things, yes, Steadfast, you're right, it got scary. But Maru is fine here. Assuming this next hit, I mean, that is so many Ravagers. And actually, Maru's going to find half their army before it even gets started. The Biles will not land. One tank's not sieged on the left side here. But again, Maru's going to be able to take the fight into the chokes into the SimCity. And this is just not going to work for Dark. As long as Maru controls it properly, this just doesn't work. Orbital needs to get repaired, and that is very scary. SCVs are going to get pulled on top of it, forcing Dark into the fight. The Orbital will fall, but again, this army's just going to get chased right on down. Dark has overcommitted a little bit. So many Ravagers are going to go down. Nice splits on the Biles as well. But I guess Maru doesn't feel like he can chase with quite the entire army. Not just yet. No concussive shells done as well, so he can't properly chase this down. But look at the dodges there from Maru.
Yeah, but it was the Biles providing Dark the avenue to escape on out. That was actually very good for Dark on the overall balance. Maru gets a little bit of a chase down on this army and does kill a few of those units, but Dark able to get away with a lot. A lot of tanks did go down. We'll see the tanks in the middle of the map. One of them does survive the corrosive Biles, but with 2-2 done for Dark, he is going to be able to take a good fight against this bio. There is one siege tank in the back, but Maru's actually in some huge trouble in this game. Consider how this started. Consider how this started for Maru. He killed all the queens of Dark, and Dark has fought back. Maru got way too greedy in the mid game, and Dark is now really starting to find openings. He gets another siege tank here. Dark was in a disastrous situation, but has made a game out of nothing. And Maru, he will hold for now, and he will finish up his 3-3, but it is absolutely a game that should never have gotten this out of control.
I mean, certainly moving on the map like that was a mistake, hitting right into the 2-2 timing, but still he does have the high ground as the army is going to move forward. And again, this bio is well upgraded. It's going to move forward. Again, we're going to see more Ravagers go down. And again, Dark has to run away. At this point, Steadfast, the supplies are equal. The Roach army, this Roach Ravager army, is going to get forced back. Dark has taken advantage of some of this time. He has reestablished the gold base. He's taken the base on the north side. He's got his hive done. But there's no adrenaline on the way, right? The Baneling Nest is not done. There's no Baneling speed. Yes, there are plenty of Lings, and they're going to try to get surrounds to enable the Biles here. But Maru's going to be able to continue to push forward. And this gold base, by the way, that Dark has been able to reestablish, enough of its mine that a lot of those mineral patches are going to mine out soon. Dark has to make this hold happen. He's going to run down the ramp. But look at this concave out of Maru. He's doing such a nice job. The tanks on the back line, more Roaches are going to try to run in. With the Queens at the front here, it seems like there's going to be just enough beef for the time being. And Maru is going to get forced back briefly, but still, that is so many Ravagers falling. It's still a very expensive hold here for Dark, and honestly, Steadfast, as the reinforcements arrive, I'm not even sure we can call it a hold yet.
No, this is still looking very good for Maru, and GB gets called by Dark right there. Maru, even though he wasn't able to close out the game in a clean, easy way, he's still able to get the job done. But it was definitely a situation where you replay that situation over again. You know, Maru identifies what Dark is going to be doing. He doesn't build so many SCVs. He doesn't take that fourth command center as greedily as he does. And he is able to pump a little bit more bio units, maybe a couple of bunkers on the third and on the natural, and that attack never gets scary. Dark, though, amazing play from him to make even anything happen. I will say, yeah, the gold-based snipe on the other side of the map was huge. It made a really big impact on that and is why Maru didn't die to the follow-up, but I really cannot overstate how dead Dark should have been, considering the build setup and considering the fact that we saw every queen die to the greediest build that you can do as Terran. The fact that Dark even makes that look close is very impressive, but also Maru, he's got to chill a little bit on some of that greed.
It was also probably one of the greedier builds that we can see coming out of Zergs as well, right? Gasless Quick Third is out there in terms of what a Zerg is going to want to do. And, you know, Steadfast, I agree with you. If that gold base has not been taken down, yeah, it's a lot scarier for Maru because you can fund the next round. And even if Maru was able to hold on with some really nice SimCity, losing all those SCVs off the greed, it's the next round of Roaches that gets scary. But because there's no gold base and you haven't really saturated your natural, the drones have to get pulled back into the one. Dark's economy for quite a bit was annihilated. So yeah, the first push was better than it should have been, but Maru identified the win position. He built himself a lead and not a lead. He built himself a victory in game one off the leads he continued to accrue. And that means now that we move into game two and Maru's up 1. The bottom right in the red. He's down a game. It made it much closer than it probably should have been. But for Talon, it's Dark.
And his opponent spawning up in the top left gets a lead, gets in trouble, gets the lead back, and manages to micro his way to victory. 1 map away from locking up Group A and a round of 8 berth. It is Maru.
So Steadfast, game 1, we saw Dark go hatch, pool, hatch, right? Greedy as possible. Game 2, we're seeing, what was this? A 16 pool, a 15 pool, something like that, going pool, hatch into things. He's playing on both sides of the spectrum right now.
Yeah, I actually don't think hatch, pool, hatch is particularly greedy for the Zerg player. I don't think there's a whole lot that Terran can do to punish it. If you figure it out very early on, you might be able to do a funky bunker rush at the 3rd and maybe pump cyclones across the map. Like you build like 3 or 4 Marines, rally across the map. That's the kind of thing the player special would love to do. But Dark is going to be going for something that I do not think is particularly strong since the Cyclone was changed. But if Maru isn't expecting this could still be very dangerous. And the fact that Maru has not been SCV scouting could be a problem for him. It is going to be that 16 pool into Roach play, that 5 Roach with the Ravager Morph pressure that Dark has really won a lot of games with. Maru, if he scouts this with the Reaper, he should be fine, but if this manages to sneak past, Maru could find himself in some trouble.
Okay, so Maru knows that this hatchery is late. All right, that's the big
Yes.
thing. He's going to show up. He's like, okay, well, the hatch just finished. I know this is pool first. And actually, the links showing up on the other side are also going to tell him what's happening. But he doesn't know how much gas has been mined. The Marine will go down, and actually, that's a significant problem because there's absolutely nothing in the main base to deal with it at the moment. It's going to get a perfect scout. It's going to see everything that's happening. But if you look at that SCV sitting there on the high ground, there's going to be a bunker on the way. Maru doesn't quite know. He doesn't have confirmation of exactly what this is, but he knows that it is something aggressive coming out of Dark. So bunker's going to go down. And briefly, he thought about getting a 3rd base, but he's not going to go for it. Now he sees the roaches. So Cyclone's on the way. Bunker should be done by the time the roaches arrive. And, well, the roaches are never going to get the natural. If you ever truly are worried, you can lift up and run away. This is looking pretty solid for Maru. And I said, pantomiming the 3rd base, he's got it on the way anyways. He is very confident in his ability to hold this.
Yes, but he prioritized the Cyclone, which is a big deal, because if he builds that 3rd command center before the Cyclone, he will probably lose this depot anyways, but he might have lost the 2nd depot, maybe loses a reactor. Things are a lot more uncomfortable for him. As it is, he might even save this 1st depot. Does need to, of course, dodge the corrosive biles. This will be annoying for Maru to deal with, and the depot goes down anyways. But at the very least, because the Cyclone's out, he's going to be able to clear this much quicker and secure his natural. Maru actually stood right dead center of that bile on the Cyclone, which is actually a pretty big misstep. I don't think it's going to cost him this 2nd depot, but if it does, that's actually a pretty huge mistake, and it will actually end up costing him this 2nd depot. Okay.
Maru's...
That doesn't supply block Maru. Fortunately, he built another depot, but this is a lot more damage than he should be taking, probably.
Yeah, and Maru's building a 2nd bunker. Okay, he's going to cancel that. I was like, man, Maru's building a 2nd bunker here. That is a bit of an overcommitment, but he scans the natural and says, okay, there are actually a lot of drones at the natural. There's no follow-up here. I'm not going to die to what Raynor did to me, right? I'm not going to die to the Ling speed follow-up, whatever it is. I'm going to be okay with that. Now there are plenty of Marines. You got to dodge the biles, and it's actually going to land on one of the Cyclones. But actually, he's going to get a lot of stuff here. Cyclones are going to be able to chase this down eventually, but that is a lot of dead Marines.
The
Cyclones
Overlord
have to kite away. He's going to get one of the Cyclones. This is insanely mishandled. We talked about how good Maru's Cyclone micro was in game number 1, getting all those queens. This was not that same level of micro. This is not handled well by Maru at all.
He ate a lot of biles there.
Yeah.
And I do want to say, Dark is the best bile placer in the business. The funny thing is he actually did miss like 2 crucial biles, which weren't able to kill tanks in that game number 1. And if he did, he might have actually snowballed that game despite everything. But he is so good at placing those biles in positions that make the Terran really uncomfortable. And Maru, he did eat some big biles there. And the other thing that happened during that fight that was really important and really impactful was the Overlord soaked the last set of set of lock-ons and allowed the Ravagers that were pretty outmatched in that fight to get a kill on a Cyclone. Maru did save the second Cyclone, which is obviously important, but that was very good for Dark, and he is going for the 1-1 Roach setup once again. If Maru goes and has a similar situation as game number 1,
oh no,
and the Dark executes a 1-1 Roach timing the same way he did, this is looking very scary for Maru in about 2.5 minutes. Now he does scout that more Roaches have been built, but I'm very worried for Maru if he doesn't sniff this out very soon, because he actually doesn't have like any production for barracks. He's just now got his second and third barracks finishing up. Good micro with these Cyclones, though, doing a really good job.
Yeah, look at what he's doing as well, just pointing out the small things. Medevac is not going forward because he kind of clicks forward and is just awkward. He's putting the Medevac forward so he maintains vision of the Roaches on the high ground to make sure that he knocks those down. He's going to not supply block Dark, but get another Overlord, knocking some of these Roaches. But Dark, while he's not faking this 1-1 Roach timing, he is also opening up opportunities to go further into this game. We're going to see the Infestation Pit halfway done. 4th base on the way. Dark continues to drone past 67 odd drones, going a little bit higher than that. This does have attack potential, and Dark may try to take advantage of that in some way, but he's also getting himself ready for the transition. This is not committed 200 supply, let's go, I got a ton of Roaches. This is, I'm gonna have a lot of Roaches. They're a strong mid-game unit, a strong composition on 1-1, but I'm gonna get a 7-minute hive, right? I'm gonna start my hive at 7 minutes. I'm gonna get a Baneling nest. I'm gonna move into Ultras probably behind this, and I'm gonna develop myself into a late game that you just cannot match.
Yeah, that's the general idea, and that is what makes Dark such a versatile and scary player. Is trying to tell the difference between one or the other is so difficult, and that's why Maru did what he did in game number 1, and that's why he opened himself up to the potential of dying to an attack that really didn't feel like it was going to have the teeth it did. It's because of exactly this that Dark does. He plays so unpredictably. And you can scan, you can figure out sometimes what is going on. Usually the easiest thing is to scan for the hive. But even then, sometimes you can't make the decision in time to, build extra bunkers, do whatever. You really want to find that infestation pit. That's the easiest tell. But Dark, he's going to be heading to that next stage of the game. Maru clearing up a little bit of creep here. But we have got ourselves a nice little macro game getting geared up for on site Delta, and that is definitely what I'm here for.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be interesting to see where the game goes. Now, okay, that's a great scan. Maru sees the Infestor, and you have to be so careful when Dark is playing this style. So the goal is to get into Hive as quickly as possible, to get Adrenal Glands as quickly as possible, to get into Vipers, to maybe add an Ultra Cavern if that's what you want to do. It's all about getting into the tech that can finally kill the Terran. And part of that is getting these 2 Infestors. They start with Fungals immediately, and Dark is so good at dropping 2 Fungals on the double drop. It all dies very quickly because you've got Roaches, you got Biles, you got Fungals. And then the Terran loses all momentum on the map. It is free for the Zerg to get into the late game for the most part at that point. Dark's aware, or Maru's aware of this. He drops the scan. He knows the tech that's there. Theoretically, he's not going to overcommit with his army. He's going to know that there are Infestors on the map. He's not going to get caught out by something. And that's pretty important. He's going to try to stim onto the right side base. There's Infestor on the high ground, but I think he's going to get this base in time. Fungal's going to get dropped. He dodges half of it, and like 3 Marines go down. Sure, fine. The base is dead. Nice move there, Maru.
Yeah, that was a very good move from Maru. Usually as Zerg, you're used to double drops being on the map and being a nuisance. You're not used to that much bio going all at once. I do like this spotter Roach, by the way, from Dark, and good job. He's actually very quick to pull that one back. But yeah, Maru with an unexpected move. Dark was not prepared for the 4 medevacs. If that was just 2 medevacs and he's in position with those units, he might just save the hatchery. But the amount of DPS that was in that army was obviously double and maybe even more than double with the Marauders. I'm actually not sure how the math would work out exactly, but it was high DPS army, much higher than he was expecting. And Maru snipes off the 5th base. Good job while he secures his 4th. I do like this very much for Maru with that pickoff. Dark certainly not out, but now does fall maybe a little bit behind as he tries to gear up for a big break before the ghost count gets too high.
It's really important to point out that Maru, it's 10 minutes in, he's adding those ghosts in. Not only are they good against the infestors and the roaches, of course, but as we see chitinous plating get started, as we see +3 armor on the way, having these ghosts is so important to deal with this quick ultra tech that Dark has gone for. And the fact that we're going to have ghosts out on the map by the time ultras are fully fighting strength, or even just on the map in the first place, makes this thing that Dark has gone for, right? 7-minute hive getting started, moving into a quick ultra cavern, everything else. It takes a lot of the strength out of his. Now Marines are going to try to chase down these overlords. That's cute. They will die, but hey, they're going to find a bunch of overlords, shutting down at least some of the map vision that Dark's trying to establish.
I am really curious if they saw, okay, they did. He's building more turrets. They saw the bunch of overlords coming. Dark is going for a huge Ling and even Bane Doom drop, it looks like. We do have Vipers on the left side. Maru purposely cutting 3-3 in order to get some of those ghosts to deal with that ultra timing you're talking about. It is a very scary timing. Vipers looking for something, but there are some Vikings out. Will deflect this. The additional missile turrets in the main is going to help out a lot. Oh, and we got a spotter missile turret before this. We've also got an overseer looking to spot out what's going on. Even these liberators just kind of whacking away at the overlords. If he can get some big splash with that, could help out a lot. Maru so far doing a really great job of checking the moves of Dark. And Dark wisely going to give this up. You do not want to just throw away, what is that, like 40, 50 Lings and a fair number of Banes. Not to mention the fact that the dropper lords themselves are not cheap either. That's 125, 25 on each one. What is that? Total math. Is that right? 625, 125?
Yeah. I can tell you the gas counts, right? Because that's the only math I did in my head. At this point, though, yeah, we're moving on just a little bit. Banelings will fall. Widowmine goes off, or they kill the Banelings at the same time. Maru's going to start to look for his 5th base, which is where Site Delta gets a little bit more awkward. Lings are going to look for the surround. Widowmines are decent, but not incredible. And Dark's going to have to back up just a little bit. Friendly Fire kills a couple ghosts there from the Widowmines. Nice drag there, Dark. Maru, again, he's going to back up here, and this is interesting. And this is something that I've been like trying to pay attention to as this late game meta develops. There's a greater Spire on the way, but there have been a lot of games Steadfast recently where, yes, a greater Spire is being made, but we actually never see a Broodlord get made in this matchup because they're only good on the impact damage anymore. Widowmines are just barely not going to get anything. Man, that
Widowmine was the shyest Widowmine I've ever seen. That Widowmine just flirted with you across the bar for like 2.5 hours, and you're just like, so, like, what's going on here? And then they're like, well, I'm just here to dance, and you're like, okay, that's okay. You do you, Widowmine. You do you.
Is it flirting or just friendly?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Just a little friendly, but sometimes we do have those friendly fire situations. Infestor. Ooh. Dark does have this bird Infestor, and he's got it very early. This is something Dark or Maru may not be anticipating. And of course, fungal growth, surprise fungal on those ghosts can be very difficult to deal with. We got another Infestor here. Nukes coming on down. They're both really powering in very smart and reactive ways. Dark, he does have a huge mineral bank. I don't know if going for a big bust on a planetary is necessarily the best call, given how good Maru's economy already is. He's going to Blinding Cloud, a missile turret, and a siege tank, and the planetary for that matter. Oh, that's cute. He blew up the Banelings so that they killed the orbital, but that was so many Banelings to kill that.
Yeah.
I do not think that was necessarily worth.
No, it takes, what is it, 21 Banes to kill a planetary with the recent changes, which is, it's a lot of Banes. He blew up a lot more than that. And he's going to lose a base on certainly losing, he's not mining from it yet, but certainly losing his base on the left side. so you're trading a base for a base, and you just lost a ton of Banes. Yeah, you're right, Steadfast. I really don't think that's worth it. Now, the follow-up might be nice, but the Widowmines are going to be solid. Now, that's a kill on the Nastin Command Center as well, so that makes life a little bit easier. Nuke goes down on the bottom side from that single ghost. Maru, by the way, he's on the north side as well here. He's going to take down a second base of Dark. Things are happening all over the place. Now, good news, it looks like the nuke was... Okay, nuke's going to go down, but there's nothing really there. So, the ghost is going to have to run away. He will die. It does pull off mining a little bit, but Maru very quickly knocks down the upper right side base, the bottom left side base out of Maru. Doesn't take too much damage from the follow-up. And again, we're getting into Maru's office. This is where he has made a name for himself over the last couple years as being this Terran player that, you know, going into last Katowice, if you let him go to 25 minutes as a Zerg, you are not winning that game.
But a big fungal road coming in on the ghost. Nice unburrow. Huge Baneling connections. Dark picks his spot and finds it, killing quite a few ghosts right there. Now, Maru, of course, does still have a bank to do a lot, but that was a very nice pickoff for Dark. Dark going to reinforce with a bunch of Hydras. His bank is still massive, and he's up to 323 on his ground upgrades. He even starts up that +3 missile. Dark not missing a beat on the important things. That was a massive pickoff for Dark, and just when things are really starting to go well for Maru, Dark finds an engagement that is really nice. Crucibles, actually didn't have enough to kill those Liberators, only 2 Ravagers. Nuke will come in on the right side. That is, of course, a big distraction. I think this Morphing Spore will just die. We've got another engagement coming in on the left side. There are no Overseers here at the moment, so Widowmines are going to survive for a long time. Beautiful EMPs right there on the Vipers. There is no Planetary, but the defensive setup from Maru is still very strong, and Maru's going to drive this back. Once again, Dark getting a pretty big bloody nose, and I think Maru might have just dropped the Mule Hammer, yeah, because he's got a big income advantage in those minerals, and he's gotten into a lot of Liberators.
Yeah, there are no good answers for the Liberators right now. What do we have? Not a single Corruptor on the map. Hydras, look at that flank coming in from the backside here. Maru was not expecting this, but he's actually going to be okay. Viper, or Hydras, excuse me, are not really a Liberator answer. Not in the numbers that Maru has, not as they get better upgrades. They got +2 armor, +3 on the way. But these Ling run-bys are actually doing a really nice job. They're going to knock some tanks down. They're going to find the soft underbelly of this Terran. And, well, these are +3 Lings. They got Crack. They got Adrenal. They're going to kill, actually, only 3 SCVs. I thought it was going to be better, but nice response there, Maru. But he does get another base, and he does slow down the Zerg economy even more. So, not all that long ago, Dark was looking at about like 5,000 minerals in the bank. He had this significant bank. It's been shrunk quite significantly, and now it's on the same level as what the Terran has. And as a Zerg player, unless, I mean, Dark's done it occasionally, but it is very hard to trade cost effectively. So your job in this late game is ideally to prevent the Terran 5th, certainly to prevent the Terran 6th, to make sure that you get more bases than them, because you're not going to trade cost effectively in the late game. As this is a ballsy pickup, Maru. What are you doing here? The Corruptors are going to try to chase this down. Boost is, I guess, just enough in time. And Maru gets away with the ballsiest pickup of all time. Medivacs will fall, certainly. How in the world did that did not just go disastrously for him?
Well, I mean, medevac boost is pretty strong right there. What I was more worried about was the parasitic bomb, because those medevacs were very low on HP. I do not blame Maru. That drop, like he did not see the Corruptors until that point. Those Corruptors came out of nowhere for Dark, or for Maru. And Maru just really didn't expect them to be there. Meanwhile, during all this, the base on the top side was knocked out, a bunch of SCVs going down, and Maru's bank, which was being built up quite high, has now been depleted a little bit. Dark doing a great job of finding openings. Ooh, these Widowmines on the left side, though, are going to discourage a counterattack. I want to point out, I love this Planetary, because Dark is a player whose Ling run-bys and Ling counterattacks are so powerful. Great positioning, by the way, for Maru here. Without that Planetary, this base is going to be so much more difficult to defend. With it being rebuilt, it is so much easier to hold. Now, we are going to see a caustic spray able to take this down, and it will get killed off, but that was very expensive for Dark relative to what it could have been to knock that base out and to find some economic damage. And he didn't even kill the orbital. That's the problem. He knocks out the Planetary, he knocks out another orbital command that's on the ground, but he doesn't actually stop the mining.
No, he doesn't. And Maru on the right side, he knocks down 2 bases at the same time as well. Widowmines on the Corruptors are going to be fairly nice here. But the lack of... Oh, man, these medevacs are so low, but the snipes on the Corruptors should be able to punish some of this. So I really like Liberator Mine as a defensive setup there. It means you can't send... Ooh, that's a beautiful mine. Because it means that you can't send in one Ling to trigger the Widow Mine. The Liberator's going to kill it too quickly. But the next level of this is he kind of feels like you need maybe a couple missile turrets underneath, so the Corruptors can't dive in and kind of counter the Liberators, and then Lings run in. Next level of things, but certainly Maru is starting to lock down the hatches once again. He's maxed out once again. He's dropped a Mule Hammer, so he's building that mineral bank all of a sudden, although we are lacking planetaries on some of these outlying bases. But the big deal here is we're going to see again this counterattack going. Snipes down on a bunch of Banes because they're important, and without them, you're not cracking this planetary. Dark's bank is rapidly decreasing once again. It was down below, I think, 1,000 pretty briefly. And more importantly than that, we talk about banks, that's important. Trading, that's important. The creep spread on the sides of the map where Maru has been playing, yeah, there's this one road through the middle, but everywhere else, this creep spread is rapidly being diminished as Maru is going to have to run away. Lings are going to get a nice surround, and this Baneling's looking for connections as well, but Maru kites away. Liberators are going to be here, and you cannot fight into the freedom zones. But that parasitic bomb, it does quite a bit, but here are the ghosts. This is where it gets a little bit more problematic. Dark tries to get on top. Fungal hits a couple of the ghosts, but not all of them. And good luck fighting into that one. That is not going to be enough. Dark has to back up, but now his remax is going to be his bank. I'm actually not sure if he has enough money in the bank to properly remax. And Dark has been, or Maru has been unleashed on the map from this.
He certainly has. Dark has gotten amazing damage done with counterattacks, but never enough to actually knock Maru's economy truly out, while Maru has been finding bases left, right, and center. This has been a game for the ages. This is legitimately one of the most exciting Maru versus Dark games I've seen, period, and shows why they are so evenly matched. We are going to see this Link counterattack on the top side, finding a lot more damage. The ghost count is still super high, but Dark is so good at manufacturing impossible wins from impossible situations that even now, with Dark not maxed out, losing so many hatches, I'm not willing to count him out one bit. But Maru certainly has a lot of advantage and a big opportunity in this game to lock up first place in the group.
What I will say is that we see Dark getting ready. He's got a Viper Den, or he's got a Viper Den on the way behind this. Vipers against Ghost Liberator are not the answer. It does not fight particularly well at all, but now Widow Mines are going to do a nice job here. Now there's a bunch of Overseers and the Fungal on the Ghost on the backside. Is there a follow-up? There absolutely is not. And a little bit of a flank from Maru on the backside knocks down so many of those Infestors. So yeah, the Fungal on the Ghost once again. Yes, there's detection, but the Ghost can snipe down a ton of that, and Maru again is going to win a fight without having to give up position, which is by far the most important thing. Now, Hydras are going to try to get on top of this, Corruptors as well, and the Ghosts are unsupported, but Steadfast, it's a bunch of light units. Nothing's going to kill that. Maru, he takes the 2-0 over Dark. First place in the group of death, moving on into the playoffs.
That was magnificent from both.